Hello, my name's Miles Oglethorpe. I'm president of the International Committee on the Conservation of the Industrial Heritage, otherwise known as TICCIH, and I'm speaking to you from Scotland's capital city, Edinburgh, where I've been in lockdown, along with lots of other people, for very many weeks. I've been asked to share with you some of my thoughts on COVID-19 and the impact that it's having on industrial heritage more generally. And I think my first observation is that no business or organization that I know of has ever put a pandemic into its risk assessment that it does every year. So this has come as a complete and awful surprise for most people, and we are pretty unprepared for it. The second thing to say is that industrial heritage in general is not the most resilient of forms of heritage. We've always had to struggle to win resources and to win support. Quite frequently, most givers of support tend to gravitate naturally towards more conventional forms of art and heritage rather than industrial heritage. So we're always having to battle. But what this means is that we weren't necessarily in the most resilient state in the first place before COVID-19. And so COVID-19 has been a particularly cruel experience and continues to be a cruel experience for many of us. It's not just threatening the sites and the industrial heritage itself, but it's resulting in a massive financial meltdown for many organisations who face very imminent bankruptcy if they haven't already experienced it. It's resulting in threats to and the potential loss of staff, many of whom have worked in our field and have incredible expertise for many years. And it's worth pointing out that quite a lot of the more experienced staff that we have are in the highest risk in terms of vulnerability to COVID-19. So that's an extra level of anxiety. And I think the thing that we really are starting to come to terms with most intensely is that this isn't going away. This is going to be with us for a while. And so whilst at the beginning we thought, well, in a few weeks or months, we'll be back to normal, we now realise that we are not going back to normal. As our First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, said, we are going to be coming back to a new normal, and we're going to have to face the facts. That's going to be an entirely different experience. So we need urgent help, and I know that many countries and local and national governments are trying to find ways of providing immediate help to stop instant catastrophe, if you like, for a lot of organisations and places. So that's really important. But one of the problems, without wanting to heap more depressing news, is that many of the organisations that would normally be giving that help have also been hit really badly by COVID-19. And I would cite my own employing organisation, Historic Environment Scotland, because we have gotten to a position where through our successful tourism businesses, we're 60% dependent on tourism income. So it's absolutely trashed our financial situation, which means it's trashed our ability to help other people. So we're talking with government about how we can help other people with our existing grants programs that have survived, and also how government can help us do that. So, and that will be a situation that's repeated across the world. So it's a pretty bleak position. But what I would observe is there are some quite positive things that have come out of it, quite surprising things. For me, for example, I am astonished at the digital empowerment that's occurred as a consequence of COVID-19. Suddenly, we have found ourselves speaking to people far more than we did, and sometimes speaking to them for the first time through video conferencing software. And for me, it's been incredible not only how good it can be, but also how the entire World Wide Web system has stood up to the immense increase in traffic. So there's lots of stuff going on, lots of ideas being exchanged, lots of mutual support being given, and some really good events. So for TICCIH, we were supposed to be having a TICCIH Textiles event hosted by Humboldt University in Berlin last month, and it had to be cancelled, and we were going to have to wait till the next event in the sequence. But in the end, Humboldt University hosted a superb digital session with about 30 participants, which proved to be quite inspiring and attracted people that perhaps we would not necessarily have been able to attract had it been an in-the-flesh event in Berlin itself. So that was good, and there will be many more events like that that occur in the coming months and years. We will learn to use the technology better, we will learn to behave more sustainably and burn less aviation fuel in order to complete our business. So that's great. The second thing I think that's really important for us to remember as industrial heritage specialists and enthusiasts is that our subject is really special. And it's in a unique position to contribute to the recovery process from COVID because our heritage is rooted more closely in communities than any other form of heritage. And it offers ways of doing things and activities that other heritage can do less well, because we have direct links to technologies. We have a history of technology, and we have the potential to teach skills and technologies in maths, science, and engineering subjects, for example. We also have an amazing stock of buildings and structures across the world that we are now increasingly discovering are incredibly well suited for adaptive reuse, for sustainable regeneration. And this is great news for the battle against climate change as well. It presses lots of buttons and it helps us rebuild sustainably communities and helps us rebuild their identity and pride in themselves. So industrial heritage can deliver things that other forms of heritage can't. And that's really important when there's a long queue of people wanting help. So my advice really, to conclude, is when all of us queue up in the queue to get help for our industrial heritage, we should be stressing what we can do in the recovery process rather than just simply demand help. Because if you offer something, if you offer solutions, then you're much more likely to get the help, or at least some of the help that you desperately need. Well, really, that's all I had to say right now, and I think this is a great initiative. Congratulations to all of those who've initiated it and have contributed to it. And I look forward to an ongoing dialogue and to hearing how everybody is getting on in reaction to the COVID crisis. Good luck to everybody. Thank you.